Hi everyone, welcome back to Dobby Books, and this is part 3 of working my way through my ridiculous April book haul. All right, so let's get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 here that we're going to cover today. The vast majority came directly from the publishers. Maybe 1 or 2 came from Amazon. I couldn't find any from the publisher. And 1 came from a publisher, and I have honestly no idea what I ordered from this person. So that I'm going to save for last, and we'll see what it is. All right, so let's start with the Amazon package. Let's get that one opened. And let's see what trouble I got myself into. It's 2 books. A Month in the Country by J.L. Carr. A Room with a View by E.M. Forster, and I know exactly why I ordered these books. There is a booktuber. It's called his booktube channel is called Tristan and the Classics, and this guy is fantastic. He records from the UK. He's just awesome when it comes to classics and explaining them and how to read them and how to really experience the classics. He gives you lots of information on an certain genre, a certain time in history. And this is a person who never went to college, yet he has taught me so much about the classics. I just highly recommend him. I'm going to put his information below. I'm part of his Patreon, so he has a book club. And these are the 2 books that are going to be covered for the month of May. I've got a lot of reading to do. I'm looking forward to these, so this was a good one. All right, next one. Another Amazon one, and I've got to figure out how to open it. I've got it. Okay. So you're supposed to open it from the top. I don't see how. There we go. Okay, so this one, Fabre's Book of Insects. Okay, I know why I ordered this one. Because I'm adding it to my classics collection. Here, my classic bookshelf, all the way down. This is, there's a college. There's one on the East Coast, and there's also one on the West Coast. The West Coast one is the original one. It's called Thomas Aquinas College. It's a Catholic classical liberal arts college. And this is one of the books on the book list that they study, I believe, the first year, which covers a lot of Greek history, etc. And this is one of the books they cover. With the classical reading list they have, they don't use textbooks. They have things like Euclid's Elements for math, Fabre's Book of Insects for science, and of course the usual things that we would expect, epic history. So they have the Iliad and the Odyssey, and they have poetry. So they would have, I can't think of it now. Pindar, poetry. And then they also have the Greek plays, so very common Greek plays. And this was adding more to my TAC book list, Thomas Aquinas College TAC book list. This is adding to it, so I know why I ordered this one. All right, so now, next one. This is from, just by looking at it, I can tell what it is. It's from a publisher called Ancient Faith Ministries. In my last video, I opened a package that contained a book by Dr. Jeannie Constantinou. And she talked about the Orthodox mind, or the Orthodox way of thinking, and I told you the story as to why I got that. And I think this book that I got is a continuation of the same research that I'm doing. Because Ancient Faith Ministries is an Eastern Orthodox organization. So, and they have a radio podcast, they have other podcasts, very pretty music, and they have a bookstore. And I love this box, by the way, because you can reuse a box like this, which is really cool. All right, so I got 2 books, but you know what? I think this is actually more history, because the first one is called The Religion of the Apostles, Orthodox Christianity in the First Century. what I'm approaching now in my history is Rome. So I'm studying through here, Rome. And in Rome's history, you have the beginnings of Christianity. And I want to make sure that I include that into my Roman studies. And this is what's going to add to that. So it's going to include the first century Christians. And Christianity began in Jerusalem, of course, but Rome was ruling Jerusalem at the time. So this, of course, is going to blend in beautifully with my Roman history. The second one I got is Apocrypha, an introduction to extra-biblical literature. This, I think, was more curiosity. The title caught my attention. I thought, extra-biblical literature. It's history. It's religious history, but it is part of history. And people do talk about the canon of Scripture. And if you look at a common knowledge for a lot of people, right, Protestants and Catholics, is that the Catholic Bible has more books in the Old Testament than the Protestant Bible does. It has 7 more books in the Catholic Old Testament than in the Protestant Old Testament. Well, what I found out totally by mistake, and this was, maybe a few years ago, was that the Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox Bible has even more Old Testament books than the Catholic Bible does. So I think maybe this book here might help me understand a little bit better as to the why on that, because I'm full of whys and I just want to find out. So awesome. I'm ready for that. This one is from Oxford University Press, and I bet you it's linked to my study of Thomas Pynchon's Mason and Dixon. I remember when we were in class studying Mason and Dixon by Thomas Pynchon, our professor required reading responses after every section of chapters that we read. And if any of you are familiar with Thomas Pynchon's Mason and Dixon, it's a story about real people, right? Mason and Dixon, who were one was an astronomer, and the other one was a surveyor, and they together helped define the border of Pennsylvania and Maryland. Right? They were state of the art in 18th century colonial America, I guess in Europe as well. Okay, and at that time, this was before we were the United States. We were still the British colonies. Mason and Dixon writes about Mason and Dixon includes the real people, Mason and Dixon, plus other real people from that time in history, and he adds in other fictional characters as well. And as we were reading through the book and writing up our reading responses, what struck me was the historical aspect. And because I love history, my reading responses always included some history behind a particular character, a particular event. It started me on my research, and I so enjoyed doing those responses. Well, one of the groups of people that Thomas Pynchon includes in Mason and Dixon are the Jesuits. And he basically uses them as a personification of the changes that were happening in history at the time. So when you think of the medieval times, before, maybe around Renaissance, but more so around the time of the Enlightenment. Religion, but prior to that, was top of the hierarchy, because kings would defer to the church. And by the church, I mean the Roman Catholic Church, Western Christianity. And then when the Enlightenment came and people started thinking things through a little differently, they were realizing that that did not need to be the case. They were trying to change the world at that point, which began to happen. So in the time of Mason and Dixon, the church, religion, was losing its power. It was no longer at the top of the rung. It was being bumped off by logic and reason. Okay, that's not to say that the church can't have logic and reason, but just for the sake of explaining things. And I didn't quite grasp that at the time that we were reading Mason and Dixon, and I kept thinking, why does he keep bringing up the Jesuits? You know, I know about the Jesuits. I know some history about the Jesuits, that they were started by Ignatius of Loyola, and that some of his college buddies had joined him in this new priestly order. We know them today as very much involved in the educational system. A lot of colleges like Georgetown College, etc. They're very much into, what's the word? I can't think of the term. If I think of it later, I'll tell you. We know them like that now, but there's a lot of history that we may not know. And I wanted to know why Pynchon kept putting them in the story. So I decided I'm going to get a book that tells me the history of the Jesuits. And I chose a doozy. Oxford University Press published, this is a big hardbound book, the Oxford Handbook of the Jesuits. So it covers their history and all kinds of information, which is perfect. It's a great reference for me. I can read, the information that I'm looking for at the time, and this will be really cool because I want to know. I don't want to get stuff that comes on down the grapevine. I want to know about something, and I want to know about it correctly. So I know this book is really cool. I'm going to enjoy this. All right, next book. This one, this is an eBay book that I missed during my first recording, and I think it's it was the other book that I was expecting from Brian Selznick, because I'm collecting Brian Selznick's books, and I believe this is another First and First that's signed. So let's take a look. We get this opened up. Okay. Bubble wrap. Very good. And around the bubble wrap, we have more bubble wrap. Packed well. And then we have some more bubble wrap. So this is an envelope, Bubble Light envelope. And yes, it's exactly that. It's The Marvels by Brian Selznick. Isn't that a beautiful cover? Here's your spine. Look at that. I love this about his spines. And there's the back. Oh, that's so awesome. Oh, I just love Brian Selznick. These are gold edges. It looks like it's a glued spine. That's fine. The spine feels firm. Okay, the book, it opens well. I want to see if it's signed. Yes, it is. Signed by Brian Selznick. Can you see that? Awesome. Now let's see if it's a first. I'm going to have to look in the back. So I noticed with Brian Selznick's books, you can't get the copyright information in the front like a traditional book. You have to go to the back of the book to find out. And there it is, way in the back, last page. It is a First and First. Excellent. September 2015, first edition. Awesome. So this is going to go with my other Brian Selznick books. I want to see if you can see them. I'm going to turn the camera a little bit. My Brian Selznick books are right here. So now I'm going to add this. I'm going to add the one that I got 2 days ago, and I'm also the one that I opened 2 days ago. And I'm also going to add the brand new one that I purchased at Barnes & Noble called Big Tree. I have to read it first, but I'll be adding that. So that'll give me 5. Yes. I love that. Oh, no. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Kaleidoscope was the other one that I got. All right. Last one. This one is from Nataraj Books. I have no idea what I ordered from Nataraj Books. I have tried to look it up online. Any hint, and your guess is as good as mine on this one. So let's cut this a little bit. All right. Now I gotta cut it some more. I have to cut it some more. Oh my gosh. It's like totally, there we go. Now I'm getting it to open. It's a paperback. Oh no, did I get a duplicate? The Insect World of J. Henri Fabre. Remember the one that I opened first? Jean-Henri Fabre. I think I might have gotten another duplicate, but look, this one's thinner and this one's wider. I have to figure out why. This one just says translated by, and it gives a name. And I don't know what the table of contents will say. So it's got 16 chapters. I work in my workshop. Okay. This one, with introduction and interpretive comments by Edwin Wade Teal, forward by Gerald Durrell. All right, so maybe because it has additional information, so it has more chapters. This one has 40 chapters compared to the other one. So I'm going to have to take some time to take a look at this. It's got 2 forwards and an introduction, plus the index. I'm going to have to look and see what the difference is between the two. So let's see if I can stack these up properly. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. Here is my stack for part 3, and we still have 1, 2 packages to open. And those packages, by the way, one is from the Folio Society and the other one is from Suntap. So those are going to be really cool ones to open. And I'll see you next time, guys. I'll put the information at the bottom for the books that I purchased. Make sure you push that like and subscribe button. And thank you for sharing this moment with me. Enjoy your summer, everyone. Bye.